What's up?
I'm so nervous.
All right, so make sure that your volume is turned down on your what are you doing this on your laptop? Because I'm getting echo.
I don't have sound on.
You have some headphones?
I don't even have you pulled up yet on Facebook.
Okay. I have it on Facebook. Let me see if I can I'll just go ahead and share it to your
Is it still echoing? Is it me?
No, it was echoing whenever I talk. It's whenever the sound comes from my side.
Oh.
But it's not doing it as bad right now.
So it's a you problem?
No, it's a you problem. It's echoing on your side, not mine.
It's not, I hear nothing.
All right. So, all right. I just posted it in your group.
Okay, cool.
All right, guys. Just bear with us for a second. I'm just trying to make sure that this is streaming across all the platforms. And then I'm going to bring up the chat. We've already got some comments. We don't have. Okay, cool. Thank you, Kat. She said there's no echo, and now I'm not hearing it either. So it's fixed itself.
Okay.
Thank you for that clarification, Kat.
I like that she says hear from the audience.
Now, all right, Noel.
Yeah.
Freaking man, 100-miler, dude.
Yeah, it was wild.
Yeah. What in the hell made you sign up for that?
Well, my friend Jeff asked me to come run 100 miles with him.
Oh,
basically.
like Jeff, Jeff?
Like Geoff, yeah, that guy.
Right. That's what Kat and her husband call me, the Geoff Jeff over the.
We call you that too. I actually really had to try when I was with you to not call you Geoff because I was like, there's no other Jeff here. I don't need to clarify what Jeff I'm talking to.
Awesome. That's so funny, man. And then, like, I'll be honest, like whenever I was younger and stuff like that, I actually hated that name. I could not stand when somebody called me Geoff. Now I'm like, I mean, it's whatever, dude. I embrace the awkwardness, the different, you know what I'm saying? Like I just like to be just a different type person, so
it's fitting. But actually, so I am gonna do 100 miles with Josh in April. I'm gonna run and he's gonna bike. So I had already been kind of like thinking about it. And then you were like, hey, there's a 100-mile in February. And then you like laid the guilt trip on me and you were like, please come do this. And I was like, fine.
I mean, it's my birthday month, dude. What, why not?
Literally laid it on.
I shortened your training plan a little bit. You were like, I mean, that's not exactly what we were planning for. We were doing like a 12-week training plan, and then you had to do it.
It was
down
like,
to
it was like a 4-month. It was like a 4-month training plan that became 10 weeks. So we kind of upped it a little bit.
That's awesome, man. I always like to push people because you know how I fly by the seat of my pants and everything like that. Like I know it stresses you out. You're like, how are you going to train for this? So
I was like, so you're gonna like do any training, or are you just gonna show up on race day?
I'm just going battle adversity,
basically.
So how did you prepare for this? What was your training plan going into it? Because I remember the last week before the run, you did 55 miles nonstop, didn't walk or anything like that. That's just the way that you do things. And then followed that up with a 20-mile run on the Sunday. So what was your plan leading up to that? And then what was your like mileage through your weeks?
Yeah, so I started out with like a pretty high base mileage. Like my base mileage is between like 80 to 100 miles. So we kind of went from there and added in back-to-back long runs because everything that we like researched and what you had kind of said was just like time on your feet is like the biggest issue that you run into. So each week we added 5 miles to the first long run, and then I would basically do 20 miles the next day. So I started out with, I think, like 35 miles and then walked up from there up to 55. And then if you did 55 and 20, that was like 75. So my like final week was probably close to 200 miles. Like it was very intense.
Yeah, and like, so seeing the mileage intensity that you had, that's why I was like, bro, if you haven't run 100 miles yet, what's holding you back? Why would
Yeah.
you not have done that yet? You know what I'm saying? So when I saw that and I'm like, bro, her highest run is this. Well, let's just at this point, I want to see what not just what you're capable of, but I want to push you to a new level, right? Because like we're already accountability partners. We already push ourselves to be the best versions of ourselves that we can be. We tag team on things on like social media, helping me get organized and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm
Yes.
absolute shit show when it comes to everything in life, right?
Basically, just like you fly by the seat of your pants, and I have every second of everything planned out basically from the moment I wake up. And so I was like, this is gonna be stressful.
This is
Like,
gonna be this is gonna
it's
be
gonna be a
very
test.
interesting because you've got a very like dichotomous personality
Mhm.
collab. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
um,
And then on top of that, I always like do obviously like strength training and then mobility work. So I had like a solid base for that as well. But we ended up changing that quite a bit because my mileage was so high. So I wasn't obviously doing like heavy lifts. It was much more of like muscle fatigue to make sure my body was adapting to having to like be used for so many hours, which was different.
yeah, because if you don't mind, can you share some of the things that you that you battle with that you worked through as far as like just some of the things that you battle on a day-to-day basis?
Like, what do
Like
you mean?
with your digestion issues and stuff like that or
Oh,
whatever
yes,
and
yes,
stuff.
yes. Okay, so I have four autoimmune diseases, and one of them is Crohn's. So if you don't know what Crohn's is, it's like a digestive tract issue. So I have a lot of dietary restrictions with that, and I'm also allergic to dairy. So fueling was a really big thing for me. And then I also have a fainting disorder, that basically it's a very very fancy name, so I won't say it. But if my blood pressure drops too quickly, I will faint. So that's part of the reason that my training is usually a little bit more intense than other people's because I need to make sure that my body is like almost pushed to like no like it can't go any further to make sure I could go to the race and not faint. So daily I have to deal with that, and then I also have pretty bad social anxiety as I talk about all the time. So, so just I don't know, even like being more open about my training plan was a little bit stressful for me because I was just like running is like my safe haven, and so sharing more about what I was doing was just like opening up kind of like something I hadn't talked about a lot. So that was something you kind of pushed me to do as well, was like share what you're doing because this is going to be like incredible. So
Yeah, 100%. And it's I just I've seen you grow so much in the past couple months, and I have to like I'm so proud of you, dude. Like with everything that you've accomplished with your with your run and stuff like that. I get a little look at me get a little soft,
I know
over
you're
here.
crying.
And I'm just like, because I mean, it's like when you see your little bird, you know what I'm saying, or like when the
Yeah,
puppy, like man, it's so incredible to see somebody like spread their wings and be able to like reach their full potential and then inspire other people to do so much more. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like that's what you do.
yeah,
You have the adversity and the things, the issues that like that's most people wouldn't, if they had those issues they wouldn't even like attempt this stuff, but you're
right.
like this beacon of hope and like guiding light to make other people better as well, to not just sit down and not just let whatever overcome you and not reach for more, you know what I'm saying? So
Yeah. I
uh
think too, like, because I've like overcome so much stuff, like I even said this during the run, like during the race, I was like, this is really hard, but this is not the hardest thing I've ever done. Like I like overcoming the like fainting, and like I had a really bad ankle injury where I had to relearn how to walk and run, and like so I'm like I've done hard things, and I don't know why I was just like not confident in myself in doing hard things. And so like you kind of like kicking me in the butt, and obviously like my husband is like my biggest supporter, so he was like, I never had a doubt in my mind that you would like do something amazing. He was like, you just needed someone other than your husband to tell you like you can do this, like you
mhm.
got this, you battle hard things every single day. So like I think I just needed the like little kick in the butt. And I told you so many times that I was like, I don't think I'm cool enough to do this, like I don't know if I can like actually make it to the race line and all that stuff. And so I don't know. I'm sure I like annoyed you all the time with needing reassurance.
Nah, man. And look, hey, this is one of the comments that it doesn't allow us to see who posted it. Maybe they have their privacy settings on a certain thing, but regardless, so awesome. And she made it look so easy. So whoever said
Yeah.
that was obviously following along on your journey. And
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Like you have so many people in your corner that want you to win or, do good. And it's, out there, it's like I've said before, it's not about finishing first, it's about finishing together, and it's about
Mhm.
finishing the things that you start. Like my mom wanted you to
Yeah.
freaking
I know she
do well.
commented.
Yeah, and
I think too, like for me, I think it's changing your mindset in that like nothing is a roadblock. Like everything is just an obstacle. It might be a really, really big obstacle that you're gonna have to carry with you, but most obstacles you can like figure out a way around or figure out a way over, and like not letting something that just seems like impossible be impossible. Like you can work hard, you can get there. Like really nothing's impossible if you like decide that you can do it. And I think training for this really helped me like believe in myself because everybody around me told me that, but I was like, I don't think I'm like that cool or that I can do that hard of stuff or like I don't know, I just show up every day and do like I owe it to myself to show up and do hard things. And I guess this just confirmed that like I can do some really fucking hard things.
yeah,
Like
no
yeah.
doubt, man. So Noel also has a group. It's called Bark Badass Running Crew, right? And
Mhm.
if y'all don't follow her or whatever on IG, you're really missing out because she's like a really cool human. Actually, like the first time that I saw her IG name, whenever I was introduced to her through our teamwork group and stuff like that from First Form, I was like, man, the girl that runs with her dogs, like, okay, whatever. Like, I'm gonna check her out a little bit. I'll see what she does. And the consistency of what she does every single day, working out, like hitting the road. You know what I'm saying? Putting the miles down, putting the consistency in with her nutrition, putting the consistency in with the mobility, making sure she's, putting work into the gym. She never fails to toe the line when it comes to putting that work in with consistency and stuff like that. And I think that's really important because when you develop that kind of consistency in your life, you can overcome pretty much anything because like when you build that kind of routine for yourself, nothing can really stand in your way. You know what I'm saying? Because it's just so normal. Like, oh, okay, well,
Mhm.
I have to do this every day. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's not going to be anything that's going to stand in the way of, but because my routine is this important. You know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah,
um,
I think too, like a big thing for me was understanding that like self-care is like self-discipline. So like if you're not taking care of yourself when you're not disciplined. And like a lot of people think like discipline takes away freedom or the fun stuff in your life. And the sign behind you says like discipline equals
equals
freedom.
freedom.
Like doing the stuff that you're supposed to gets you to places that you didn't even know you could go, and it's the monotonous stuff like 10 miles a day of running and an hour of strength training and mobility work, and like I rarely feel great, like my stomach hurts all the time. And so I think it's just like accepting like those are the cards I've been dealt, and that's just like what I'm going to deal with. And it also makes me hold people kind of like around me more accountable because I'm like I feel like garbage and I'm doing this, like you owe it to yourself to show up sometimes.
Yeah. No, you have, and look, you've got a quite the fan base, man. I mean,
Oh, I
freaking
know you guys are making
support.
me all sweaty.
These people love you, dude. Like, I
Ah,
mean, it's
I'm
so
not used to
incredible.
this.
But so we're gonna fast forward a little bit. We're gonna go ahead and go to the race.
Okay.
What were your feelings the morning of? So we had a few things that took place. We obviously had shirts that we were gonna wear.
I have my
We had a
app.
couple. That's it. Yes, ma'am. So and they were personalized for us. You know what I'm saying? So we had a little bit of a hiccup. Our official race shirts did not come in for the run, but I thought they made it happen. They ran an
Mhm.
audible. They pulled a little trick play. They made sure that we had shirts for it, and that was Clutch Brand. So I'm grateful for Clutch Brand for making that happen. It was awesome shirts. It was awesome material. They kept us cool. They felt really good. Um, and what were your feelings the morning of? Because like we were we were official AF, man. We had our Hundo Savages shirt on. We had the matching tights. We had the run and shoot. We had all this gear that we had prepared for. We'd gone shopping. We had everything that we were gonna. What were your feelings the morning of the run?
I don't think I've ever been that calm going into a race. Like I'm obviously an anxious human all the time, and race morning is usually like amped up times 1,000. But I was like confident in my training, and I was confident in like you wouldn't let me like die out there. Like so, I just felt like really good, and we both like I felt like prepared well in the morning. We each kind of were like in our own little corners doing our own thing until we like looked super official, and then it was like it's go time. Like and I've never felt like that relaxed going into a race, which was very strange for me.
Yeah, I like to call it kind of like the calm before the storm. It's kind of
Yeah.
weird leading up to it. Like I'll get a little anxious, and then like, oh, this is so frustrating. And then like 5 minutes before the race, I'm like, it's whatever. I'm
Yeah,
ready to
you're just kind of
die.
like,
Like it
whatever's
doesn't
gonna
matter.
happen is gonna happen. Yeah, like I
Yeah,
did what I could do up until this moment, and it's gonna be. We knew it was gonna be hard. We knew it was gonna be muddy. So it was like, we've kind of done whatever we can do, and it's gonna happen.
yeah, 100%. And then look, freaking one of our friends, Lonnie Mitchell, he they know how I am. Rarely
Yeah,
wear
you are
clothes
like,
whenever I get to an event. You know what I'm saying? So first time at an event that I actually wore a shirt the whole time, man.
and people
Um,
talked about the shirts like the whole race because they're white, and so it was surprising that they weren't like brown within 10 seconds of the
Dude, I'm
race.
still trying to get the stains out of mine. It's probably
I
not gonna happen, but we
know.
got those cool we got the cool tees, you know what I'm saying? So we got those and yeah, so all right. What was it like once the run started and you got to see the trail, like what the trails look like? Once even, it was dark when we first started running
Mhm.
and then when we got into those big sable palms, I guess you'd call them. I think that's what they're called, the sable palms, the big towering palms. I
Oh, the
mean,
trail?
like just yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so the trail was like really, really pretty, but very quickly we realized that we were going to be running in mud and not just like oh that my shoes are gonna get a little muddy. It was like knee deep mud, and I don't like I've run in mud before, but it was like quicksand. Like the second you stepped in it, your leg was just like into the bottom, and so I realized quickly that like our pace, we had no pace goals. It was just gonna be to like get through that safely because you can get hurt really easily in mud and you can waste a lot of energy trying to move quickly through mud. And I was like, we have like 99 more miles. We need to like keep it on lock here.
Yeah. So what you remember whenever I started doing a story at one point in time and I was trying to like relay the the um the trail the way
Mhm.
that I was trying to like go around the water because I was so sick of getting wet. And I'm like, it's so relative to life, man. How you know I'm trying to find the easy way, but if I just go straight through it, I already know what's in front of me. Whereas you could
Mhm.
go to the side, you try and get into some of the grass or whatever, and you would still sink, and you were still
Mhm.
going through shit, and it was
Yeah.
not going to get any better. You know what I'm saying? So what, like, when we made the realization of all right, we're just going to go through everything head up, it really doesn't matter, there's no point in going around anything because it's not going to save you any time. If anything, all it's going to do is waste your time, right?
Mhm. Yeah. And energy because you're ending up like going longer around it than if you just like trudge through it.
Right, exactly. So okay, so we talked about the mud. We did really well. Our pace was
Mhm.
phenomenal in the beginning.
Yep.
We were our distance was a little bit off compared to what they had when we got to the first aid station, which
Mhm.
was the same. It was 6.5. But when we made it to the next aid station, we thought we were at mile like 14, which we were actually at mile 15. So that was like a huge that was the first set of cutoffs that we got to. We knew we were going to make the 6.5. That wasn't even an issue. But when we got to the next one, we realized we were really on a phenomenal pace, way ahead of like 2 hours ahead of the cutoff, and just in a really good position. But a couple aid stations later, and probably about 2 miles of mud, 3, 4, 5, whatever. I had a little bit of an issue. My hip started getting worn out. I went
Mhm.
into that race with a little bit of an injury. I was strained my back, my glute, my hamstring, or whatever, and I knew going into it what it was going to be. But we also spoke about how we weren't going to leave each other, and that was like, this is probably going to get a little bit emotional for me again, because this was,
Yeah.
my first
This is
DNF,
like the
and
hardest part. Yeah.
yeah,
I
and I'm
will
like,
say one thing though. I want to say one thing about the pace. So we were doing really good on pace, and then we got lost. So we like remember we went on the wrong trail or whatever. So
yeah, mile
like
40.
we lost like almost 2 hours of our buffer because we were lost and we had missed an aid station. So we had to go back to that aid station, and your hip had started hurting like a little bit before that. So that like also like did not help our situation.
Right, no doubt. Yeah, so yeah. That injury, going into it injured, getting, I felt decent. I just didn't know when the injuries were gonna rear its ugly head. And so that was such a a kink in the plan, and I think I probably could have dealt with the issue in my back and my butt a whole lot better than I did with the hip flexor, because it's just my leg, I just couldn't lift it anymore. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like, when
Yeah.
we had to like start going over all the fences and those cattle gates and
Mhm.
stuff like that or whatever. And I was just like, I'd have to step up with one leg and then drag the other leg up, and then, kind of just, and we had to go over like 5 fences back to back to back to back, and it was just
Yeah.
one thing after another. But um, it so using the back. Using the bathroom in the woods, how was that, man? I mean, like, did a palm tree ever tickle you? Like, what is,
Oh my gosh. So that was one of the things I was the most stressed about was like pooping in the woods. And like you were always so nice about it. You were like, unless you shit on your shoes, like I'm not gonna make fun of you. It's gonna be fine. And I like had built it up so big in my head. And then there's nothing you can do. Like you gotta poop out there. So eventually it just like didn't even matter. I was like, I'm going to poop. Like I don't even care. And by the end, I pooped so many times because I have Crohn's. So like once you start it, it's not gonna stop.
yeah. And then we were having issues with our, not so much issues. We just left the aid station knowing that it was possibly going to be dark, and
Yeah.
we left with one headlight. So we each had a headlight, but her headlight went out, and then
Died within like 5 minutes.
my headlight goes out, and we should have had backup headlights, because why did we buy 4 headlights? I spent like I spent the money on making sure that I had the headlights, and I didn't wear or bring 2 at a time. Like, that was the dumbest thing. So then we're having to use the bathroom, and like, okay,
With like
just
our
sit here and
phones.
don't move. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
and then so like one person has to go and use the bathroom or whatever, and so they can be able to see. Um, but then we start hearing, man. So all right, it's not that big of a deal during the day, but whenever it gets to night, the creatures come out and stuff like that. And we kept hearing some noises in the bushes and stuff like that. So elaborate on that a little bit. How'd that go?
Okay. Well, so first of all, you can like hear the coyotes and stuff, but what you hear more often is Jeff squaring up with any noise that happens. Like there's a noise and he's like, mother like, are you gonna fight the coyote? And he's like, yeah, if it comes down to it. I'm like, okay.
I'm sitting
So
on the ground. I could barely stand up. I'm changing my socks, and she's like, "So if a coyote comes out, what are you gonna do? You gonna fight it?" And I'm like, "No, I mean, I'm gonna stab that motherfucker. I don't care, whatever." So then I'm like, okay, so if I'm talking all this game, I better get the shank out. So I pull my shank out the hydration pack. I put it in my hoodie. And I'm like, all right, cool. So now I can at least do something, because my disabled ass, I'm crippled as shit. I can't run from anything, and I'm like, all
yeah.
right. So I got this thing in my hoodie or whatever. Dude, we're almost to the aid station. My headlamp finally goes out, and freaking we're using my damn
We're
my
using our
cell phone back.
phone
Yeah, our
as our
phone
lights.
lights.
Yeah.
So that was interesting. And then finally, Chris catches up to us and he's like, man, what's up? And I'm like, it is not looking good, dude. We got lost for 5 miles. We lost 2.5 hours. But you know, to go past that, like we're fighting the cutoff time. And I mean, like within minutes, we made it to 1 aid station. She was like, we're talking on the way to the aid station. And she's like, but you wouldn't leave me. And I'm like, I know it's different though. Make sure you get to that aid station before that cutoff. And like I could hear it in your voice. You're like, I'm gonna have to run. And I'm like, man, go. You know, like don't wait for
Yeah.
me.
Well,
Like
because
I'll get there. It's just
yeah.
you're gonna need to get your stuff. You're gonna need to be able to get to the next point. I'll make it to the aid station. If they DNF me, they DNF me, whatever. I expect it. And then like the next aid station after that was 2 miles away. Again, I made it within like
2 minutes. Yeah. I
yeah,
think
something like 2
what was
minutes.
so stressful was like we had such a buffer and then it just like we got lost and then your hip hurt. And so we lost that whole buffer. And it was like we had like minutes before we had to like get to the aid station and get out. That was like one thing I hadn't totally planned for was that it's the aid station, like the cutoff was like the time you needed to be leaving the aid station, not the time you had to be getting there. So it was like we need to get there and we need to get out and you couldn't like hustle. So I was like, I got to run up ahead to like grab us stuff so that you can just like swing on by. And that was like so stressful.
Yeah. And so we made it to when we made it to that second one.
Mm-hmm.
I think your light had been charging for a minute, right? Or
Yeah, they
something
had
like that. So
charged.
you got your new light. And then we make it to the next aid station or whatever. And I was like, bro, look, I'm not like my leg's not really working. I could bend it on my own power. I could straighten it on my own power, but in order to get them into either one of those positions was extremely painful. I couldn't stand up on my own, and at the point where I couldn't, because after you left, I tried to stand up, and I couldn't stand
Yeah.
up without Jazz helping me up and stuff like that. So once you left, and they got me stood up, I went and sat in the vehicle and stuff like that. And the last thing I remember telling you was just don't fucking DNF. Make sure. And
Yeah.
then you
Well,
started running a like what 12
yeah.
minute
Well,
pace.
so like, I think everyone keeps asking, like, oh, what was the hardest point of the race? Like, did you think you weren't ever going to finish? And I was like, no, I knew we were going to finish. Like, I knew we were going to get to 100 miles, whether or not the race was already done and we were still out there running to get it. I knew we were going to finish. So when you like, the possibility that you weren't going to be able to finish came up, I was like overwhelmed because I was like, he wouldn't leave me, but like I feel really good. Like I feel great. And so I don't know what to do, but he's like my teammate and he would like I literally started crying because I was like, I'll just DNF with you because you wouldn't go on without me. Like that's just like the kind of person you are. And like if you hadn't told me like do not DNF, like go fucking finish this, I wouldn't have finished. Like I would have just been like, I'm done. He's hurt. We're a team. Like I'm done. And you literally like looked at me, you gave me knucks, and you were like, do not fucking DNF. And I was like, deal. Like,
Right.
got it. And
Yeah.
then Cindy and I like took off. Like at one point, it was like 1 a.m. We were running through the mud and the water, and we were doing like 8 to 10 minute miles. Like we were booking it, and it was I've never been so
This is
tired,
at
but like
60 miles in too. This y'all
yeah,
are like I dropped out at Mike mile. Like on my watch, it was like 59.76. So I was just
yeah,
under 60 miles, but you're running this pace, and this isn't post 60 miles. This is between 60, 70, 80
yeah,
miles, and they're like freaking just hammering.
flying. Because
Yeah.
she was like, we need to get to the next aid station, and to get there, we need to do at least 10-minute miles. And she's like, do you think you can do it? And I was like, we don't have a choice. Like, I'm not missing this cutoff. So we like booked it. And once we got there, the cutoffs got like a little less aggressive. So then we started doing closer to like a 12 to 15-minute pace because it was still just as muddy. Like it was probably worse because we were in different areas. Like at one point, Cindy and I got off the trail and got lost. We literally fell into a swamp that was like chest deep. Thought a gator was going to eat us. Like literally thought we were going to die. It was so scary. So we were just the whole time just trying to book it to get time back because I was like, I'm not if I'm finishing this, I'm not going to be that close to cutoffs. And we realized that we could finish in under 32 hours at that point.
Yeah, no, that was pretty incredible because y'all maintained a pretty serious. Y'all
Yeah.
maintained that. Y'all not only came back um, and made up the time for the cutoffs, which was extremely impressive. But like for me, Jazz had asked me. She was like, "Oh, do you want to go home and take a shower, and then you'll see him at the finish?" And I was like, "Nah, man, I'm out. I'm out here till the end." You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
I
Like,
know. Josh texted me and he's like, Jazz just asked if Jeff wanted to leave. And I was like, he said no, because he's a good teammate. And he was like, yep. I'm like, yep. If I'm out here in these same grungy ass clothes, so is he.
yeah, and I never, and that's the thing is I never took those fucking clothes off, dude. Like, actually, the
No.
only thing that I did was I put my sweatpants on because honestly, what took place, like I started like shivering once
Yeah,
I
you started
stopped.
going into shock.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it was just really, it was just weird, and that was like not that big of a deal. It was getting kind of chilly, so to not be moving, all I did was add layers on. Like I still had
Yeah.
my tights on, still had my pants on, and then I threw a hoodie on, whatever. Um, but how do you feel about the how do you feel about the crew? This is your chance to like bash your husband.
No, they were the
No, I'm
best
kidding.
crew.
Like, okay, so also, and then like, man, getting the opportunity to like see Josh on the stories and like the way that he was talking about you and stuff like that and lifting you
Yeah.
up was like pretty cool to see. How
He's the best. He's the best human. Like
pretty
I
incredible.
don't know. I did something right in my life to like get him to be my person, but it was kind of cool too because like Jazz hasn't like crewed you a lot and Josh has crewed me quite a bit. So it was cool to kind of see like you guys figuring out like your dynamic because you're going to be doing this more often. Whereas Josh and I, we've had like a little bit more experience. So it's just we like our communication is like I didn't have to say as much stuff. And he knows too, like if I am asking for like Pringles, that means that I am like I need salt, like I'm dehydrated kind of a deal. So yeah, he's just crewing. I think people underappreciate crewing. It is just as stressful on them because they're not out there running, but they care about us. So like when we were lost, they were the ones that were calling us, telling us where to go. Oh no.
What happened?
I don't know. Can you still see me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. My screen just like froze.
No,
I
you're
still
good.
can't see you. I can't see you. But anyways, when we were lost, they were the ones that like called us and told us how to get back to the aid station. And like they're the ones that help you change your shoes, change your clothes, like and it's very easy to be mean to them because you're tired, you're crabby, you've been up like for however many hours, and they just like take it in stride. So I think like sometimes crews don't get enough like props.
Love,
Like
yeah,
yeah.
acknowledgement.
And
Yeah,
they're up
no,
like
they're the real
almost as much
heroes,
as
man.
we
Yeah, 100%. Hey, how did you feel whenever you were receiving like the messages from the people and like your the followers and the support and all our people from like teamwork and everybody at First Form and we were getting messages from Brittany and Jeff and Andy and Sal and like all these people like telling you to keep pushing and like what did that kind of support feel like being like on like that kind of scale of like
Yeah,
our team, Alex
I
and Kat and like Diana, everybody was just like so, you know, woo, 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 you know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Like
I think
so pumped.
like I think again, like I had that imposter syndrome. Like I was like, guys, I'm not that cool. Like I don't deserve like all of this support. And like very quickly, I was like, no, fuck that. I do deserve this support. Like I'm out here doing this hard thing. Like I'm finishing this for Jeff and I. Like they're my family too. Like it was amazing. And like reading the messages after, like I just started bawling. Like I was like, all of these people watched our race. Like all of these people took time out of their days to watch our stories to see that we were like okay making it through these miles. Like that's amazing, that's incredible, and that's like the impact that I want to have. Like I want to be the light in people's lives and I want to give them the hope that like you can do whatever you want to do. Like we're not special. Like I'm just a little awkward soul that likes to like do hard things. Like if I can do it, you can do it, you know what I mean? Like and I think being out there and seeing that support, I was like this is what I want. Like this is what and so it like super fueled me and I ran the last 12 miles with Josh pacing me. Like I didn't really walk and like That was at mile like 88.
88
So
to, yeah.
yeah, 88 to 100 we ran. So like it was crazy, and like I still like I will start crying if I think about it too much because I'm just like all of these people care, and like it's very easy in this world to feel like you don't matter and people don't care about you. So to see that and to see like people that I like really respect reaching out and being like what you're doing is incredible and you're like motivating me, and like Jeff is out there with a freaking broken hip doing 60 miles, like I'm like yeah, we're cool. like this is awesome. So it was a big deal.
So I don't, can you see your screen yet?
Yeah, I just saw it.
Okay, cool. And then you got another one. Guys, hey, look, y'all don't forget that if there's a question that y'all want to ask, don't hesitate to post it up in the chat. We'll put it up on the screen for the Noel to answer whatever it is. It doesn't matter. You know, she's
Yeah,
an open book.
I am. I don't believe in TMI. So if you want to talk about poop, we can talk about poop.
Right. Let's see. I had another question, which I think you probably answered that already. Was at what point in the run was all doubt removed that you could finish? And I think that there was never. Probably the what I'm understanding is that the only time that there was ever doubt was like when we were slowing down, right? So
Yeah. And it wasn't doubt that we were going to finish. It was if we were going to finish within the confines of the race. Because I was like, if we miss the cutoff, like we're still going. Like we came to do 100 miles. So whether or not it's like in the course or we're doing it after they've cleaned up the aid stations, like I knew we were doing 100 miles that day. So there was not like really doubt. It was just more of like, are we gonna like get to have this as like a record on like ultra sign up, or is it gonna just be like me and Jeff out here trugging along to get our 100
for a
miles?
long time, yeah.
Yeah.
What? Man, I just had something at one. Oh, yes. So let me tell you exactly how rigid this girl is. As as she's coming to the finish line, I'm videoing her. I'm like trying to keep up with her, and I'm like, I wanted to kind of like run with her to the finish line or through the chute. That didn't really happen because she was moving at a pretty swift pace. But when she came through the chute and she was coming back up the hill, she was like, I'm not at 100 yet, so I'll see y'all in a little bit. Like, yo,
Yeah.
literally gave me a high five and kept running. You're like, you
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? Until it clicked 100.1 on her watch. So she
Yep.
got the 100 miles. The race ended up being like 97.6, but we got lost for like 2
Yep.
miles. So she was at like 90, roughly 99, I'm going to say, because she had to run another mile
Yep.
at the end. And
Yeah.
which was pretty incredible because when you complete a race like this, you don't exactly feel like that's not exactly a goal. But in her mind, I think
Mhm.
you said, I set out to do 100 miles. I'm going to do 100 miles. If I say that I'm going to do 100 miles, I'm going to do it. So you finish what you start. And that's one of the
Period.
attitudes that we have is that we finish what we start. That falls back to like consistency. It falls back to leading by example. It falls back to belief in what you're doing, because when you believe in what you're doing, you go after everything, you attack everything head on. And it's just words can't express, man, how pumped and how proud I am of you and all that stuff. It's really incredible what you do. Look, let's see. You got to make sure the watch says it, dude. Hey,
Yeah.
like if the watch
I was
didn't
not
say it, you
about to
didn't do it.
I was not about to claim that I ran 100 miles when I only ran 99. So
She's like,
literally
I need that digital proof.
we went through it. I high-fived everybody and I turned right back around, and Josh and I went and did my last mile, and I was like, I'm not stopping. Like I'm literally not stopping moving until I hit 100, and I hit 100.1, and I was like, boom, we did a hundo.
Hey, but before that, one more thing I kind of want to touch on, and then I'm gonna kind of open it up for you to like free fall on some stuff.
Okay.
That last out and back. Okay, so there were several out and backs throughout the race, and they're a little frustrating because it's like, oh god damn it, why can't I just continue to go on and do whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that last out and back, it just really like the way that you explained it to me, it seemed like a little bit of a soul sucker. So
It was
tell.
yeah. It was so they had a sign and it said the out and back is 1.3 miles. And I was like, Cool, 1.3 miles. Then we turn here and we're on the straightaway. I got this. Wrong. It turned out that it was 1.3 miles to the end and 1.3 miles back. And like this, at this point, it's like a paved trail. So my feet hurt. It's like cement. I have to keep pooping. Like, I was just like, that part of the race, I was like, can this just be done? Like, this is, it just felt like where like the sign was just kept moving further and further away. But then once we like did the turnaround and came back and I saw the finish again, I was like, we did it. Like we
Oh
just
yeah,
have to make it.
it's game over at this point, right?
Yeah. Well, and at that
Um,
point too, you're like, I'm not gonna walk because then I'm just gonna be out here longer. Like you get to the point where it's like running really, really hurts. I'm really tired, but like if I walk, I'm gonna be out here longer. I'm gonna be in pain longer. I'm just gonna keep running and basically like pretending that I feel great. Like
Absolutely, absolutely. No, what would you? And I didn't mention this to you earlier, but I kind of went over the time, not the timeline, but like just some of the topics that I wanted to talk about. But what would you say that some of your takeaways were? Some of the things that you thought about over the past couple. And this is going to kind of wrap everything up, right?
okay.
Just kind of reiterate, or like what were your takeaways from this event? What did it mean to you? Would you do it again? Obviously, you said
Yeah.
April that y'all are going to do it again. What are your takeaways? Tell everybody
Yeah.
what your takeaways are, how it made you feel. Did it make you feel
Yeah.
empowered and all this other stuff? And how are you going to use this to go forward?
Yeah. So I definitely would do it again. I'm like excited to do it again. And I want to do one with you where like you are able to like finish and we can finish like as a team. Just because I think that'll be like extra special. Takeaways. I've never felt so confident in my entire life. Like, like I feel like I can literally like do anything because I ran for 31 hours straight. I did 100 miles in like crap conditions. Like I think another thing was like you have a plan, but you need to expect that plan to like go wrong. Like things are going to go wrong. And that's kind of like life. Like you can be like, this is what I imagine my life to look like, but you need to accept that like maybe you'll get to that end point, but it might not look how you want it to look. And it might end up better than you thought it could be. But like that your plan doesn't always have to be perfect for to get where you want to go. And I think also like we're our biggest obstacle. Like I was the only one that was like, I don't know if I can do this. Like, I don't know if I believe in myself. And everyone else is like, you can do this. Like, what are you talking about? And so this, I think, is like what it took for me to be like, you're right, I'm unstoppable. Like, I can do whatever I want. I can do anything I set my mind to. And I don't think you have to run 100 miles to like get that feeling. But for me and the way that I work, that's what I needed.
100%. Yeah, I really like that, man. Life is the greatest endurance race that you'll ever run.
Mhm.
That is always like something um that sticks out in my head about doing endurance events and things like that, Um let's see, hold on, my mom had a question. Can you explain to the side watchers like me, what does a person really get out of doing this mentally and physically? A lot of people might wonder also. Yeah, if you have a question, somebody else might have a question, never hesitate to ask those questions. Um, Noel, if you want to, it's a
Yeah.
little bit different for different people, but go ahead and
Yeah. Yeah, I would say so mentally, I would say most endurance races are mental because you're going to do a training plan to get your body ready most of the time. Obviously like pushing your body to the limits is like really great, but it's much more mental because you're out there battling yourself. You're battling the elements, you're battling so many different things. And I think you learn a lot about yourself when you're out there just trying to like finish a race, like doing ridiculously hard things, and I think you don't get that in a lot of other places in life. Like, I don't know, it's kind of hard to, it is hard to explain. But for me, it's like I'm out there battling myself. I'm not battling anybody else. And so if I can do this and come out of it, like through all of the different things that I went through out there, come out of that stronger, that proves to me that like I'm really mentally tough and I can like grow basically from anything that I do.
yeah, I agree with that because there's gonna be a period in time where your body's gonna say no, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like for me, um, we had the opportunity was, with my hip flexor and stuff like that. And it was like my body was just like done. You know what I'm saying? As far as like that was
Yeah,
concerned, I couldn't fire my leg and stuff like that. But it was getting to that point, being able to push myself to that point of, okay, I can quit or I can drop out or whatever, but I'm not going to do it right now. I'm not going to do it just because my body wants to do it. I'm going to
right.
do it according to when it just quits working, right? Like
Yeah,
it's not going to be like, oh, I'm hurting, I'm in pain, I'm done. That's just not the way that things work in life. The second that you face or like find adversity or face a challenge, it can't be just turn around the other way and get out of dodge. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to get anything out of life. That's like quitting. Like that's a different
right.
type of quitting. And quitting like that, um, just quitting just to quit is not gonna. There's nothing on the other side of that, right? I learned so many lessons out there. Just the bond that we created out
Yeah,
there, as far as like talking and the people that you meet out there on the course. That's another thing that like you can say
yeah,
about endurance racing and the ultra community. Everybody out there suffering, man. Everybody out
yep.
there is on a different journey. There's guys that were out there that's lost 115 pounds. There's guys out
Mhm.
there that's like battling stuff, might have lost a loved one, you don't know who people, what people are doing this for, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, there's all kind of whys that you tie into that. And people talk about motivation and they have a very misguided view on what motivation actually is.
Mhm.
It's not screaming and it's not yelling and it's not, motivation is actually the motive. It's actually,
Mhm.
you know, the reason why. So you have to have a strong reason, a strong why in order to even do anything like this. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
I
So
think too, like being comfortable is like a weakness. Like you're not going to get better from being comfortable, and so if you're only doing stuff all the time that's comfortable, you're probably not living up to your full potential. Like something I say all the time is like you can do hard things and you owe it to yourself to do those hard things. Because if you're not doing hard things, you're not getting better, you're not living up to what you could be. And so I think these races, like when you're out there battling your demons, like want where you could easily just be like, I'm out, I'm gonna quit, but like you choose to keep going and trudging in the mud for 70 miles, like you're choosing to do a really hard thing and like showing up for yourself.
100%. It's all about showing up for yourself. Cindy said she has no questions. Pretty sure we had enough questions, answers, comments, etc. out there. So fucking proud of you.
Cindy
Love
was
y'all
the
big.
pacer. Cindy was my pacer who tried to feed me to a crocodile. So twice.
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 Hey, and I guarantee you she's hysterically laughing over there because she also thought it was funny that we were fucking lost.
Yeah, I
She
know.
said,
And then she
"Oh,
also
this
thought,
shit's getting good."
I
Like,
know, she thought it was funny too when we fell into a bunch of burrs and they were all in our hair. I was like,
oh
Cindy,
my God, we didn't even
not
talk about
funny.
that. I saw the shirts that y'all had whenever y'all came in, and I was like,
Yeah.
what is
Yeah, so
on
we
the
fell into
shirts?
two swamps and then we came out of those swamps and promptly went into burr bushes. And like, I've never been so covered in burrs. Like, it was everywhere. And like, she was just laughing. She thought it was great. She's like the best pacer because she's just like a very positive light. So even when like I was kind of trying to like be cranky, she was just like, nope, this is great. This is what
Yeah,
we signed up for. I'm like, okay.
we have a pretty awesome run community. I'm so grateful
We
for Cindy
do.
coming out there. My partner Chris that was out there. Several people from our crop dusters community here local were out there and stuff like that. They were sending all kind of encouragement. Um, Cindy is one of the people that helped me run my first 100 miler, and I'll be forever grateful for them, that community, and what they pushed me to become, and how they've been supportive on my journey and stuff like that. Guys, I want to, you know, you have to see. Okay, so our name at the bottom of the screen, the girl who runs with her dogs, that's her Instagram name.
Yep.
She's got a Facebook group,
Yep.
Badass Running Crew. Um, she loves running with her dogs. Obviously,
I do.
she's got some pretty cool fur babies,
I
and
do. They do most of my training with me, so that is where the name came from.
so I asked her how she sets her pace, and she said the dogs set the pace for me.
Yeah, they do. They're also like what keeps me healthy because a lot of people will overtrain because they will do the same running pattern. Well, I'm like running around my dogs, dodging them half the time, so I never have the same cadence or running pattern.
Yeah, build in those small muscles, right?
Yeah,
Build those
basically, always working
stabilizers.
on stability.
Yeah. Oh, and that's another thing that we didn't share with anybody was where are you from?
So I'm originally from Wisconsin, but right now we live in Dubuque, Iowa. So another thing with my training was a lot of my training runs were done below zero temperatures. So I did a lot of like my 50 mile, my 55 and 50 miler were both like negative 12 with like sleet and ice and like so that helped build my confidence too because I was like if I can do 50 miles in like literally unsafe hazardous winter conditions in the Midwest, I can run 100 miles in mud.
Yeah. So okay, my mom has another question. She said,
Mhm.
"How did you look so clean finishing?" So what happened? I think okay, so you could probably tell it, but
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
you had switched shirts one of the time because it was so wet, you were cold.
I did a full outfit change at mile 75 because we had found the two swamps. So I was soaking wet from like under my bra line down all the way through my shoes. So it was cold, like my lips were turning blue. So when I saw everybody at mile 75, I did a full outfit change, like bra, underwear, socks, shoes, leggings, and shirt. And then when we got to mile 87, I swapped back to my race shirt because it was dry by that point.
Yeah, because we had put it on the defroster in the vehicle.
Yeah.
Josh did actually.
Yeah. Probably.
Um, how was running with? Okay, here's a good one because we all know this is you to the T. How was running with humans instead of pups?
Okay, so we know that like I'm an introvert and I just really prefer to run with my dogs, but Jeff and Cindy and Josh were all really good to run with because they know me. Like I told Cindy up front, I was like, I'm an introvert, so you can talk to me, but I'm probably not going to talk that much to you. And like Jeff and I are really close, so he knew I didn't want to talk the whole time. And by the time I was with Josh at the end, I was like a shell of it. Like I didn't have much brain activity. So he didn't really talk to me either. So it was fine. I don't do great with people that are like, let's talk the entire time because running for me is like my therapy. It's like where I just get to like, it's the one time I'm not super anxious. And so it stresses me out to run with people normally, but this time it was okay. But I'm also now, going to take a break and run with my dogs for several months.
Yeah, no, totally get it. Um, so I was introduced to vegan Oreos.
All Oreos are vegan.
I didn't know that. We get to the aid station. They're like, we have vegan Oreos. I'm like, the fuck's vegan Oreos? Who makes that?
I was like, all Oreos are vegan.
I mean, where they come up with that from? But we get to one of the aid stations, and she's like, "Yeah, I can't have this. I can't have that." And they're like, "Well, what about this? This is vegan." And she was like, "Does it have flour in it?" They were like, "Yeah."
Yeah.
It's like, "Well, I can't have that because that dairy." It's just like
Yeah. Well, because
it
of
was just so
Crohn's.
funny. There was
Yeah.
like everything that they were like, I can't have that. I can't have this. I can't have that. I can't. It was so funny. Like I'm like, bro, she's not being difficult. She's just
No.
her digestive tract is that difficult.
Is that yeah, which is something I got asked about a lot. Like people are like, what did you eat? So a lot of people can eat this stuff at aid stations. All I could really eat was Oreos. So I carried more fuel on me than I think like even Jeff. Like you carried some like chews and stuff, but I like took in Intraformance, the drink mix, like basically the entire time. And then I had like peanut butter rolls that we had made and quesadillas. I ate like I think 3 cans of Pringles. I ate a
No,
lot of
Pringles.
pickles, yeah, pretzels. So I like salty stuff, but one thing is just on race day. So I stuck with what I knew for the entire race. I didn't branch out from anything.
No, and I think that's incredibly smart. We talk about that all. Nothing new on race day.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I think I think that about wraps it up, man. How do you feel? What is there anything else you want to touch base on, or
I don't think so. We're doing like I think I got some like some more like ask me questions, but I don't have them yet. Did I
okay? We'll save that for your live tomorrow. Did we lose you? Yep. Okay, so Noelle's computer died, and she just sent me a text message and said my computer died. Guys, that was pretty much the end of it anyway. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. Thank y'all for the questions and everything. Yeah, her her computer died. I really appreciate y'all so much tuning in. Y'all make everything work, worth it. I'm very grateful for y'all. Thank y'all for everything and tuning in. I appreciate y'all. Have a good night. Hold on one second. What's that?
My computer died. That's